Welcome back to Cheddar Business, everyone. You're watching Opening Bell. Brad Smith here with the one and only Kristen Scholler this morning. The streaming wars are getting in on the fun at CES in Las Vegas this week. NBC, Apple, Disney, they're going to make presentations at the gadget show, as will up-and-coming service Quibi. Joining us now is Joan Solsman, who is the senior reporter for CNET. Joan, great to have you here with us today. You say Quibi will raise eyebrows this week as a star-studded short-form video subscription service. So how can it hold down its own against Netflix and Disney and the Disney Plus entering the streaming field that we've seen as of recent, even more offerings coming in 2020?
I think that's the question that Quibi wants to definitively answer at CES this week. They have a keynote on Wednesday morning, and it's really going to be their first public coming out ceremony, their opportunity to show the level of celebrity firepower and how serious they are about taking on this realm that in streaming not very many people are going after. They're going after that short form YouTube turf. Everybody else in the space is trying to aim for that Netflix, HBO style prestige TV thing. Quibi's trying to do something different. And we know, Jeffrey Katzenberg, he's a showman. I'm sure he has something really, really flashy up his sleeve. I'm just interested to see exactly what it's going to be.
So it's interesting, Joan, when you say star power, I mean, should we be expecting an Apple type like event in the sense that the stars of some of the shows are going to be there, perhaps with Jeffrey Katzenberg and Meg Whitman at CES?
I presume that they will be. I don't know that. My gut is knowing Jeffrey Katzenberg is somebody who knows how to put on a show and knows how to shock and awe. And at his disposal is a litany, an eye-popping list of celebrity that he's recruited. It's really, the creators are who's who. We've got Steven Spielberg, Guillermo del Toro, J.J. Abrams making things for his service, not to mention in front of the camera. You've got The Rock. You've got, it kind of boggles my mind the names that they have attached to this service. They're being very closed-mouthed. They're being very tight-lipped about who they're actually going to have on stage, but you can only imagine that this is something that they really want to impress.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you had me at Dwayne Johnson, so we can end this there. But
I think he has everybody at Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
yeah, exactly. Okay, so when you think about what some of the competitors are doing, Richard Plepler, former HBO, now with Apple, the significance of these different networks, well, not networks, but streaming services, now bringing in even more big names that were key high-profile executives and now giving them, look, basically a canvas to paint their own ambitions on and bring their know-how over to these new streaming services, the significance of that.
Yeah, the Plepler move over to Apple was certainly very interesting. The thing to keep in mind with Plepler is that he's entering that as not as an executive, but as a producer. He said in his interview announcing this deal with Apple that he doesn't want to be the captain of a big ship again. He said he's been there, done that, and now he wants to be somebody who gets to spearhead his own projects, the things that he's passionate about. But obviously, he's a formidable force. He is the architect, the captain of HBO's success over the past, 15, 20 years, the man that made HBO what it is today, and the one that all these other streaming services that provide prestige TV have aspired to become. So it's something that really lends an impressive feather to Apple's cap.
Do we have any sort of intel, Joan, as to what some of these shows or movies might be that Plepler is interested in making?
It's run the gamut from what he said he's interested in. I don't know specifically what he's pursuing, any titles, but it runs from series to documentaries to feature films. It's a very wide-ranging deal, and you can imagine that the people that run Apple TV, they are well acquainted with Richard Plepler, and they're going to be giving him a wide berth to pursue what he believes is a good bet.
We've talked so much about streaming that it almost begs the question for CES and streaming and services, is this still a gadget show at the end of the day, or is it, as all of these tech companies have really identified their path and their move towards streaming and continued revenue-driven revenue generation there, is this more of a services show now versus gadgets?
The thing about CES is It's so big, it's a giant tent that can include a lot of different people. You know, last year's a good example wherein Impossible Foods, you were talking about Impossible Foods in your last segment. It was the talk of CES last year, a quote unquote food technology for the first time. But I think that really reflects how every company is a tech company now. You have to be a tech company no matter your industry in order to be competitive today. People say that CES may have lost its way a little bit. Gadgets are still well and good here. They're going strong. The interesting thing is that you have these sort of fiefdoms that emerge. Media has always had a big show at CES in a completely separate part of the strip. It's only now that you're starting to see these other industries start to spill into the keynote stage and really the ones that demand attention. And I think that reflects how technology is spilling over and becoming so integral to so many other different industries.
Joan, do we anticipate that Comcast's Peacock streaming service is going to have a presence at CES this year?
Yeah, definitely. Peacock, well, NBC Universal has a keynote the same day as Quibi. We're going to be starting Wednesday with Quibi and closing it out with NBC Universal. The interesting thing about NBC is that they've already planned to have their big Investor Day reveal of Peacock the following week. Almost exactly a week later from their keynote is when they're going to have their big investor day to present all the details of Peacock. So there's a little bit of a question mark about just how much they're going to be revealing this week if they have such a dedicated, huge event the following week. But we'll just have to see.
All right. Well, look, my life is tech dependent, so if that is the basis for making you a tech company, I too am a tech company. Joan Solsman, who is a senior reporter for CNET, joining us here today. Thanks so much for the time. Enjoy the show.